Well, hello there. Welcome back to the channel. I've got a little project today that I thought some of you might find interesting, particularly some of the old timers out there that actually know what this is. This is a branding hammer that used to be used, some probably still are in some cases, but used to be used to mark logs. And you can see that this has a brand, or this is a G in the middle, and around it might not make much sense to you because it's a mirror image. This is an H, this is a U, a G, and an H. That was the brand for the Galbraith Brothers Logging Company. And there's another video that I've got on the history of the Galbraith Brothers Logging Company that I'll put in the description or up above so you can see it. But I came across this, and I'm gonna refurbish it. I think what I'm gonna do is use my little sandblaster to clean it up a little bit and see how that does. But also what's kind of interesting is I think that this handle is, or was, hand carved, because it's just got a bunch of whittle marks in it, you can see here, and it was definitely whittled down to fit in there, and there's a wedge in there, and I don't want to mess that up too much. So I think what I'm going to do before I put my sandblaster, I'll put some tape around here and try to protect it as much as I can. My understanding is that when these brands were hammered on the end of a log, it would go in. You could be detected in a foot to almost 2 feet into the log. And that protected it from people that might try to steal logs, particularly when they're in the rivers or in ponds or in log rafts or what have you, particularly in the Northwest at least. And that brand, if they tried to cut off the end of it, could still be detected, like I said, a foot to foot and a half, maybe even 2 feet into the log. That's how they were protected. Now, another little interesting story is my dad used to actually make these things in his shop. And what he did is he would take a piece of round steel, probably 1/2 inch or 3/8, and then he would take a Bendix spring, heat it up, and bend it and make the letters or whatever shape needed to be made. But the tricky part was they had to be a mirror image. So when you're looking at this, it's like looking into a mirror, because the real brand is when you're looking that way. So it was a little bit tricky to do that, but I remember seeing Dad make a number of these over the years for different Jippo loggers and companies around, and he would sell them there at his shop, custom made. So anyway, that's a little bit of history on that, and we're gonna get started and see if we can clean her up. So stay tuned. Like I said, first thing I'm gonna do is put some tape around here, and then we'll take it out and hit it with a sandblaster a little bit. It's actually working pretty good. See right there, it's taking it off right down. It might take me a little bit, but it's doing a good job. Did a little bit of sandblasting. This thing turned out pretty well. And what became apparent is this is a forged hammer. They must have had a mold or something like that made this, because this is not welded on there. This is definitely a whole forged piece, including all the letters. And when I got all the rust off, as I started getting all the rust off, it had some red paint on it. And I'm going to guess that it was probably painted red so that they could find it easier in the brush if they dropped it or something like that alongside the road or what have you in the landing. Plus, Galbraith Brothers had a bunch of red trucks, so I'm just guessing that was maybe the case. Anyway, turned out pretty good. I was thinking I was going to paint it red again, and I might, but for now I think I'm just going to leave it like in this natural state here. My little sandblaster cleaned it up pretty darn well. I'm going to take this off and do a little light sanding on the handle. Don't want to distort it or make it look too nice, so to speak, and then maybe put a little finish of some sort on there to kind of pretty it up a little bit. But for right now, I think that's pretty good. So let's go ahead and we're going to take this little piece of tape off here. There, we got all that tape off. So now I'm going to take a piece of probably 120 grit sandpaper and work on this for a little bit and just kind of get that handle cleaned up with the shade. Just so it'll basically just kind of rough up a little bit so it'll soak up a little bit of, I think I'll just put a little bit of poly on it or something like that. But now I'm going to just put some water-based polyurethane on it, because that stuff will dry clear, and it's all I had, because I didn't have any oil base. So we're going to do this. We'll put a few coats of this on, and just to protect it, not like it needs protection. It's probably hasn't had any protection for probably close to 70 or 80 years, I suppose. So I don't know what little bit I'm going to do, save it for posterity, I guess. Kind of fun to have some of these old hammers. I've got a couple of different adzes up here that I've done videos on earlier on their restoration. If you're interested, you can find the links. I think I got a Carpenter's adze and a Cooper's adze, if I'm not mistaken. So I kind of have these just hanging around in my collection to conversation pieces and whatnot. Well, by golly, I think we're going to call this project just about done. I put a couple coats of water-based polyurethane on the handle there, and it kind of just gave it a little bit of a shine, you can see there. Kind of made it look kind of cool. And I rubbed down the head with a little bit of kerosene, kind of give it a little bit of a sheen there and keep it from rusting. So that's good. I also made a little deal, took a little piece of cedar and cut it and stamped the brand in there, and you can see that's what the brand looks like, and it's H-U-G-H, Hugh Galbraith, and that's who owned the company, and that happens to be my wife's grandpa. So that's kind of cool. So we'll keep this around the house, and I put some polyurethane on that too, so that looks pretty good. Anyway, this is kind of an interesting old family heirloom now, I guess. It's kind of cool. So anyway, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope you learned a little bit about branding hammers and how they're used and what they were for. Anyway, take care. Don't forget to subscribe. Send me any comments you got, and we'll be happy to get back to you soon. Take care.